given a name to my pain. The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. You don't really think you'll win, do you? I'm Batman.
Hello and welcome to episode 140 of the Batman on Film podcast. BOF is the sponsor as well as a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows over at batmanpodcastnetwork.com and follow our Twitter at BatPodNetwork. If you're listening to us on iTunes, if you take the time to rate and review the show, we'll read your review on the air. BOF is also now on Patreon, so if you like what we do here at BOF, whether it's the podcasts, vlogs, or the website itself, anyone help support us if you're so inclined, head over to patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm and sign up. I'm your host, Ryan Haas, and on today's show, we are going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, like this new Shazam trailer and some Suicide Squad 2 news, and there's a whole lot of other cool DC and Batman things happening. So for all that, we have our full regular panel here to discuss everything. So first up, we have Eric Holzmann here.
Yo!
What's
going on, man?
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah,
so
it's good we're
glad
getting back.
Yeah, enjoyous BOF After Dark fashion, as we like, as we like to do this.
Yes, another late recording.
Yeah, but we're good. We also have Garret Grev on the line.
Yeah, nighttime is the right time. Back at the after hours for podcasting. How is everybody doing? It's great to be back together.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we also have Mr. Ryan Lauer here. How are you doing?
Hey, greetings. I'm doing well. I'm ready for us to do an audio reading of this 80 Years of Batman, the deluxe edition. So let's get going.
All right.
Did you get that?
I did.
Vocal cords are warmed up.
It is fantastic. So the main reason that I really wanted to get it, because I knew that probably most of the stories for us and then a lot of people that are going to listen to this, it's like we have some form of book that have these stories in them.
But it has a lot of the essays and stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That was mainly what I wanted. And they actually had a lot more than I thought they were going to. I just thought there'd be like some cool introductions and then that's it. But they kind of have like an unpublished book in there. Neil Gaiman wrote a really awesome piece at the end. So, I mean, yeah, it's
great.
It's worth the $18 on Amazon. So there you go. Yeah. That's our plug. Amazon.
Great. Yeah, that's
taking over the world.
I pre-ordered it from my comic book store as well. So I should get that here in a couple weeks. It's probably it's like the prelude to the giant Detective Comics number 1000 extravaganza. That's going to go down in a couple weeks, but yeah, that's good. That's good to know because I was hoping for the best for that because the Superman companion I heard was pretty good.
Yeah, do it.
Do it. So I mentioned some stuff like the Shazam trailer and stuff like that, but the first thing I want to talk about, since this is Batman on Film, and since BOF itself kind of loves and has some ties to the Dark Knight Trilogy, I wanted to talk a little bit about this, the Dark Knight Trilogy coming back to theaters in 70mm IMAX. And yeah, it's coming back to theaters for Batman's 80th anniversary, but there's a catch. Just kind of like how they did some 10th anniversary screenings last year for The Dark Knight. These screenings are also going to be, like I said, 70mm IMAX, and it's only going to be in 5 theaters around the country or out of the country. So it's going to be in Universal City Walk, in California. It's going to be in New York, Toronto, and Indianapolis. So what do you guys think of it being announced? And it's also going to have a Christopher Nolan Q&A, at least at the Universal City Walk version live. And that's going to be filmed, and it's going to be, because that one's happening first in late March, and that's going to be filmed and shown at the other 4 events. So
yeah, and
what do you guys think of that?
From what I read, that one where Nolan is going to be there for the Q&A, it's sold out in less than 60 seconds.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
Yeah, in the New York show, sold out like super fast too, right around the same time frame. So hopefully, if you want to see it, you're not looking to go in New York or LA because those are gone.
Already out of luck.
Everybody's going to Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah,
well,
right in the heartland.
I have a report on that one. I bought my ticket for Indianapolis tonight.
Oh, really?
So I, in theory, will be going to that one. I'm not sure if I'll be able to actually. I jumped the gun. I made a speculative pick because I was thinking, because like yesterday or something, the tickets were not available, and today I was thinking like, I wonder if the tickets are up now. And then I look, and yes, they're up, and yes, they're 90% sold out. And I was like, damn it. So all the seats were garbage. So I got like I got a seat that was in the close to the middle, but it's in like the third row from the front. But that's a good theater. I've been to it before. When I lived up in Illinois, I did go to that particular theater to see Rogue One in IMAX, and it was really good. So hopefully I'll be able to make it out to that. And if any BOFers are going to the Indianapolis show, let me know and we can meet up. It'll be good. I'm excited about it though, because I'm curious to see what your guys' experience has been with this, because I've seen The Dark Knight Rises in 70mm, but not the other two. And but I will say that it is a huge gap in quality. I mean, it's a big difference. It's definitely one of those cases where you can tell it was intended to be seen that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm not completely, what do you want to say, clear on the differences and such between like the real IMAX and a quote fake IMAX. But I've seen The Dark Knight Rises, and pretty sure I saw The Dark Knight on a quote fake IMAX and never on a full, like the Indianapolis one.
I think the big difference between the fake and the real ones, or at least this real IMAX for this Dark Knight trilogy, is that it's film, 70mm IMAX film.
Gotcha.
And the screen is a lot bigger, but just the fact that it's film, it just has a different quality to it.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
The exposure is different. The texture you get is a bit different. So I saw Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises at the Minnesota Zoo, which is one of the earlier they actually closed down. IMAX doesn't show there anymore, which is a real bummer. But it was at the time when it opened one of the first major IMAX theaters, when it was really just sort of the high-end documentary filmmaking, nature films and things like that, and the picture quality was fantastic. Now, Batman Begins, I was in college when that came out, and I went to the tiny local theater in Decorah, Iowa. So I haven't had the pleasure of seeing that on the big screen, and if they would have only had showings in Minneapolis, I could have made that dream come true. But alas, I don't know that I will be getting on a plane to go see these movies, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm only like a 3-hour drive from Indianapolis anyway, but it wouldn't just be me. It would also be my significant other as well, and it'd be hard to convince her of like, let's go sit in a theater for 10 hours to watch these movies that you've already seen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my wife is a saint, first of all, and second of all, she understands it, pretty well. We did get to do some stuff though, like we've seen me and her went and saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy extended edition, like full day thing, all 3 movies.
Oh wow,
so,
she's a trooper, man.
Yeah, and that was her thing. So with this one, I'm like, can I do this? So we'll see. And that'll be interesting, because the week before that is the Bowling Green State University Batman conference.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah, and that should be pretty fun. I am going to that as well. I'm not sure if any. I know there are some other BOFers that are going. Trey Jackson, he is going to do a presentation there on a Dark Knight Trilogy paper he wrote, and Rob Myers from Everyone Loves the Drake is going to be there, and he's doing a panel on Robin. I am going to do a panel on Nightfall Legacy. So that should be fun. And then all three of us are going to do a panel for BOF, actually. Bill was planning on going, but he's not going to be able to attend that conference. And so it kind of got appropriated to me to handle that part of it. So
the official representation.
Mm-hmm, so there will be a BOF panel as well.
That's awesome.
So,
do you know, are any of those going to be recorded? Are we going to be able to check those out anywhere?
I'm not sure. I'm going to try my best to bring some recording stuff and either record panels or try to do some podcast type stuff with people that are there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I can get some good content out of it, because there's also going to be some good keynote speakers, like Mike W. Barr is going to be there as one of the main keynote speakers. Yeah.
So initially I saw that this was it like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
It's
Sunday,
2
or?
days. It's a Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday. In which day, are you doing stuff on both days?
I'd have to look at I believe both days. Yeah. I'm gonna be there attending it for both days at least. And I will say I don't know if they've released the official. I don't think they've released the official itinerary yet, because it's still kind of in flux. But the presenters have seen it, and I'm sure they're gonna flesh things out when people, just like with people need to either can't come or need to switch their times up. But there are a ton of presentations.
Sweet.
Like there's a little bit of everything. A lot of different things from Batman lore are going to be represented at the conference. So it's pretty cool. I'm really excited for it. Looking forward to it. I mean, it's not going to be the talk of the town or anything, because it's, unfortunately, I think it's at exactly the same time as Star Wars Celebration. So that's kind of unfortunate, but I'll be there for Batman. So.
That's awesome. That sounds like a ton of content. That's a lot of it sounds like very academic approaches. So you're mentioning papers written on films and stuff. Like that's some hardcore nerd stuff. I can get down with that for sure. Yeah,
just wait until they release the full itinerary, because some of the papers I've read or presentations titles I've read have been like, whoa, really? You're going there? so mine's just like there's so many that, you're going to have to pick and choose. Like they have them in like two different rooms that they're all in. So like, that are going concurrently. So you might have to choose, if you're going, you might have to choose which talks you want to go to and stuff. So it'll be interesting. It's definitely kind of a first in the world of Batman to have like this not cinematic, but academic, like you said, conference to kind of cover all these topics. So we'll
awesome.
see. It sounds fun. So, so the next thing I want to talk about is this Shazam trailer. I mean, it's only a few weeks until this thing comes out, and I guess this will probably end up being the last main show we do well, there might be another show before we do a Shazam review, but just today they announced that they're going to do those 2-week early screenings through Fandango, just like they did for Aquaman. So if you haven't gotten your tickets already, I mean, you might be able to get them, but they're for Saturday the 23rd, so you can see Shazam a little early. So I got my tickets today.
Tickets today.
I haven't bought mine yet. Waiting to see something that we might have going on the date, but it's 1,200 theaters, which is a pretty broad showing. So it's 2 weeks early. So Aquaman, I think, was it a week early?
I think it was 2.
Yeah, theirs was a week. They did it the 15th.
Yeah, and that was
16th, something like that.
Yeah, and that was obviously a big hit from. Yeah, you're right. You know what? It was a week because there was some debate on like Box Office Mojo and some of the other box office tracking websites about how to calculate those showings. And I think most of them ended up lumping them into Thursday previews, which kind of shifted things.
That makes sense.
It makes sense because it's you assume it's pretty much the same audience, right?
It largely would be.
It's good. If you're going to show up on a Thursday night at 10 or whatever, you're probably willing to go see it the Saturday before. But yeah, 1,200 theaters. I mean, that's pretty broad. And I think it's was it exclusive for the Fandango VIP members, or you needed to enroll in the rewards program first to get the ticket or something like that?
Now for the Aquaman one, it was through
Amazon Prime.
It was an Amazon thing, yeah, and you had to get it through like Atom tickets, right?
Yeah, it was Adam. Yep.
Now this one for Shazam is allegedly Fandango early access. That's the easiest way to get it. But I know some other theaters are also able to do their own thing at the same time frame. For example, I'm getting to see it at the Alamo Drafthouse here in Raleigh, and they didn't. I don't know if you can even get their tickets through Fandango for these particular screenings. Like, so I got my tickets through the Alamo Drafthouse app, and just like Aquaman, they have a special like commemorative Shazam tumbler glass that you can get with unique Mondo artwork on it, so that you can add onto your ticket. So I totally did that, so I can have another, glass to kind of match my Aquaman glass. So that seemed to be the absolutely the preferred way to see it, especially because most of these screenings aren't in IMAX. So if I have to see it in non-IMAX, seeing it at the Draft House is always a good choice.
Yeah, if I have to put up with seeing it and just digital, if I have to force my eyeballs to look at this, at least I'm going to get a nice beverage holder out of the deal.
Exactly.
I have to wait before I purchase mine. I haven't done it yet because I might have company that weekend, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be available.
They probably want to see Shazam, though.
Not this specific company, no.
Okay, all right.
Well,
and you might not be able to just sneak away.
Since the screenings, they could get sold out and stuff, like, if you do it through Fandango, at least you could, you can always just get the ticket, and then you can probably get it refunded if you don't go.
Well, I saw they're showing it
reserved.
Around here, they're showing it at 2 separate times. So
yes, there's like a 4 and like a 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see. I mean, I have options. There's more theaters than I thought there were going to be around here.
Mm-hmm.
Normally it's like 1 or 2, but there's actually like 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to wait and see if which one. If my day opens up, then I'll be like, all right, I'll go see it. I considered buying it though, even just waiting and seeing. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's the second trailer was very, very good.
Yeah, they seem to have a lot
let's
of...
talk about the second trailer, because that was kind of a sticking point with a lot of people for a while. They were like, "Oh, where's the marketing?" That always rears its ugly head. Where's the marketing? Where's the second trailer? The movie comes out in like 3 weeks, and there's only one trailer and stuff like that. So I think like the rumor was they had a whole nother trailer cut like weeks ago, and they decided just to like not release it, and they did another one. And that's the one that the Shazam trailer 2 that we just got. I think it was like a week ago or something like that. It actually, for me, I don't know how many of you guys saw Captain Marvel, but for me, the Marvel Captain Marvel, MCU Captain Marvel. But when I saw that last week, this Shazam trailer was in front of it in IMAX. So it's pretty cool. Yeah,
it was for me too. Yep. I saw it.
Yeah.
I thought this one raised the stakes a little. It gave you a little bit more insight into the character, and their relationship, between the two, right? So I thought this one was a little bit open the world a little bit more, which is, I mean, that's what you want trailers to do. So, but it didn't change. It didn't change much to me how I felt from when I saw the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I should say this: when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was silly, but it grew on me, and. Now, I mean, this one is silly, but that's what the movie's supposed to be. So,
yeah, I think it was an effective trailer. The same thing goes for all this stuff. I mean, I'm already there, whether my ticket is literally already purchased or just in my mind I've already purchased it. Like, I'm going to see these things, but I kind of always judge what my friends outside of the BOF group, what their reactions are, what, the talk in the office is. And people know that I'm into the superhero stuff. So when they see it, a lot of times they'll talk to me. And, the word coming out of this last trailer for Shazam was, oh man, I'm going to go see this. This looks really fun. And then tons of questions around how it relates to other DC properties, of course. But it seems like it has really kind of hit a chord and is finding an audience really well. So it seems like, things are looking good and looking up. Obviously, Warner Brothers is fairly confident in this when the social media embargoes and review embargoes are coming up, quite a ways in advance. And I don't know.
That's the thing to note is like the early screenings are 2 weeks ahead of time. And and you're right. The review embargo for reactions, at least, is already up. So we're getting a lot of positivity
exactly
out there already.
And that was my question before when I was thinking, was Aquaman just a week? Was it 2 weeks? Whatever was it? And I don't know if that's directly tied, but letting an early screening to general audiences go 2 weeks before the film debuts tells me they are looking to bank on word of mouth as opposed to having any sort of nervousness around the word of mouth.
It's funny you brought up other people, Garrett, because one of my good friends actually saw the trailer, and he didn't like it. So he thought it looked silly. He says he doesn't feel this is the way that DC should be going.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, as much as Aquaman was a departure, this is even more of a departure. So, I mean, I guess that's not a big surprise for me. But I think, it seems to be shooting for a bit different of an audience than BVS or something else.
Well, well, you're saying departure, and to me that it's another good sign that they're branching out.
Sure.
That all the films aren't going to be in the same like DC hardcore, like
it's not just for kids anymore.
Exactly. This isn't your dad's Captain Marvel. I think that the variety. I think DC is better than that, and I think the variety is going to start to come through in these movies. Like, this Aquaman was a lot of fun, and people really ate it up. And I think Shazam is just going to continue more of that. But then we're going to have an R-rated Joker film this year, and then we're going to have a Birds of Prey movie that's just slick and it's going to surprise a lot of people and be really, flashy and stuff. And then we're going to have Wonder Woman 84, things like that. I think we're just going to have a lot of the films themselves are going to be so unique that I think it's going to end up appealing to a lot of different audiences. I think it's going to be pretty crucial to keep DC feeling fresh, as more of the individual franchises kind of start to do their own thing.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think it's absolutely the right approach. And, at this point in my life, I tend to see things, kind of through two sets of eyes. It's like, what do I, as an individual fan, want to see, and what do I think would be cool? And then what do I think about it as a dad? Because, my boys are really, really into superheroes. And when my oldest was 5 was when Justice League came out in theaters, and I saw it, and I'm like, you know what? I think he could handle this. And it was the first time I could show him one of the newer DC movies. And there were still some parts I'm like, hey, bud, I'm going to distract you during this. But, from the things I've seen online so far and what I'm getting from the trailers, like, I'm going to be able to take him to Shazam and have him see Captain Marvel on the big screen. And, if there's a stray naughty word here or there, I'm not as concerned, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be anything, remotely as grim and violent as some of the stuff that he's wanted to see. Like, Daddy, it's Batman and Superman. Can I watch that one? No, son, not for many years. So, I mean, DC is going to sell at least 2 more tickets to the Grev family when I bring my 2 older boys to this one.
But still can't watch Darth Vader, right? Still can't.
Yeah, they're afraid of Darth Vader. Yeah, we've almost started Star Wars several times. My oldest in particular, I'm like, hey, bud, like, if he's like really good behavior or something, like, you know what, I think you earned a movie night. Do you want to watch Star Wars? And it's like, yes, up to the moment we're gonna hit play. He goes, Dad, I think I'm gonna be too scared still. I'm like, dude, you would not have survived the 80s. You don't want to know the movies I was watching at 6, in 1988 or whatever.
So, Lauer, what do you think? What's your take?
I don't think the second trailer moved the needle at all for me, just because I was already excited. I didn't need another trailer. I was sold on what they showed at Comic-Con last year, and then the little bits that have come out since. But as far as the second trailer goes, it was like, I thought it was great. I thought it was a lot of focus on Zachary Levi in the suit, more so than like the Comic-Con stuff was really, planting the seeds of Billy Batson as the kid and living in the foster home and stuff, with the relationship with the other kids, especially Freddie, right? Freddie.
Mm-hmm.
And this one dealt a lot with Shazam and Freddie. And I feel like that's going to be, like, that's obviously going to be a huge part of the movie, just as the Billy Batson part is too. But I don't know, it really worked for me. Not that I had any hesitancy. Anyway, I just didn't see anything that, I don't know, nothing, not that I read too far into it anyway, But I just didn't see any red flags of like, oh, well, I just didn't like how they did this, and I didn't like this at all. I was just like, man, this just looks like fun. Let's get to it.
Yeah, you know, I'd say along those lines, the only lingering question that I've had, and it really kind of popped up a bit more in this newest trailer, and I have no problem with it. Like, I'm there to see what the filmmakers are doing with this. But, you know, in my reading of Captain Marvel as a character over the years, Captain Marvel is a bit different than Billy, right? Like, it's not just Billy in a grown-up, superpowered body. It's more of a different persona. And in this, it definitely doesn't seem like it's that so far. It doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to happen in the story. And it doesn't even mean that that's the way it should be in the movie, right? Like, it doesn't matter.
Have you read some of the recent John stuff, though?
Yeah, not as much. So, like John's run on it, I've heard it's much more akin to what this is, which is cool. I think of you know, probably like post-crisis Captain Marvel is what I go to more than anything else. Or, you know, obviously Captain Marvel had a huge part in Kingdom Come, and you know, that was different obviously with an adult Billy, but the difference was pretty stark between Billy and Captain Marvel. So I'm interested to see what they do with that there. I have no qualms about it. It's just a curiosity that I'm interested to see how it's handled.
Yeah, for me, I think like the tone seems like even more like settled with this one. Like it's showing me a film that probably knows what it is. Yeah, you know, like like moments like that instead of just things like instead of going for like a last shot of most trailers in movies like this, or just some crazy epic CG shot that's trying to make you be like, oh my gosh. But for this one, they choose to have him like mimic Superman, you know, leap tall buildings, and then he doesn't leap quite far enough, and he just crashes into the glass and stuff. And I thought that was hilarious. You know, it's just telling me that like it's obviously going to be a different type of superhero movie tone wise, but it's still within this DC, you know, universe. So it'll be interesting to see how it kind of.
Man, is it? This trailer has made it very clear that
yes,
I mean, it was reference heavy, right? So I don't know if that was in response to some of the questions about, you know, that have lingered through production of where this sits within the DCEU, or, you know, is this in the same shared universe? But man, there's, you know, at least 2 Superman references, a Batman reference, an Aquaman gag. Like it's there.
There's some other things I've seen, like clips that have been on Twitter and YouTube and stuff, like where he's like flying and he's trying to say like Superman or something like that. Like he's trying to think of Superman as he's flying.
Go get him, Batman.
That was great.
Exactly.
That was great.
I think what I was most in a sense most impressed with by maybe just Warner Brothers itself is knowing that it doesn't the character and story with Shazam, Captain Marvel, like it doesn't merit a darker tone or anything. It's like just staying true to that. It's just being thrown around so much that it's like big, you know, heavily influenced on big, and that's just what the story is and requires. And I'm just glad that they really stuck with that, so that it is. Like it's different. It's something different than what other things that have been, you know, released as of late, and especially, it doesn't even matter DC or Marvel. It's just like the superhero genre in general. It's just something different, and I just think that's great.
Right. I mean, we saw it with Ant-Man. Like Ant-Man was kind of that kind of thing for the MCU.
Just fun.
So, yeah, exactly.
Well, so ends Guardians too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Guardians. So we've had those type of films in the comic book movie genre where, you know, it's a lighter material. I mean, the material can be dark within it, but the characters are lighter and they have a little bit of fun with it. So, you know, I think this is DC's first foray into that. Maybe they thought Suicide Squad, well, the version we got of Suicide Squad was lightened up. But yeah, this seems like a really good attempt at just being like Ryan said, true to what it is, which is good.
Yeah. So Shazam, it'll be here before you know it. And I'm excited. You know, it's crazy to think like a year ago we were like, oh my gosh, there's a whole year before Aquaman, and then what? You know, so now we've already seen Aquaman. It's come and gone. It's going to be on.
It's old news.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's already out on digital, right? It's going to be on Blu-ray here really soon.
26th.
Yeah, just a couple weeks.
This is the
Tuesday,
time.
It was released.
Last
Tuesday.
This is the time frame where I my budgeting really gets stressed, right? Like because I'm tempted so much to buy the digital, and I know I'll buy the physical.
Oh no! Don't do it.
I haven't done it since Justice League. That seems a little bit.
Did it with Justice League?
Yeah, I really did.
I did it with I did it with BVS and Suicide Squad, and then I was like, no, I gotta stop doing this.
Yeah, I really do. I really need to not do it this time. And I've waited this long. I feel like now I'm there. Now I'm there.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm with you.
And that's the interesting thing. Like, we're gonna see Shazam on the 23rd before Aquaman even comes out on physical home media. So
yeah, that's
gonna be interesting.
That is really something. And then the wait begins.
Yeah. Until October. That's going to be a wait. But between Shazam and Joker, we will have plenty of animated things to look forward to. One of which is this Batman and Ninja Turtles project that just came out of nowhere. Isn't that the greatest thing? Like last year, the Batman Brave and the Bold and Scooby-Doo project came out of nowhere,
right?
And then like a month later, it came out.
It's like, hey, we did a thing.
Yeah, so like that kind of same thing kind of happened just a little while ago that we heard that there was going to be this Batman versus Ninja Turtles movie animated feature coming out that is based on the comic book series by James Tynion, who is a pretty prolific DC writer at this point. He did a long stint on Detective Comics and is currently writing Justice League Dark. But yeah, that's really interesting. And this is, it's not in continuity with anything else. I mean, like I said, it's based off of this first Batman Ninja Turtle crossover comic book. Actually, in comic book form, there have been 3 so far. There have been 2 in this particular series that James Tynion has written. There will be a 3rd and I believe final entry in that trilogy coming out sometime soon. And there's also been this Batman Adventures version that's been more tied to the Batman animated continuity. But so for me, like, and so like this movie got announced. We don't know when it's coming out yet exactly, but everything I've seen has said like spring, so that probably means within the next month or 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I actually thought it was the end of March, even like really fast.
It'll probably be like on digital first, and then physical
Sure.
a month or something more after that.
Yeah, and I know Lauer read and has been getting me to read. I bought it. It's on my backlist.
Yes, you did it.
Yeah, I'm there. And now I just need to actually sit down and read
series?
it. Yeah, so I've
heard nothing but good things about it.
Oh,
also.
It looks incredible.
Yeah.
The art's fantastic. I read the Batman Ninja Turtles Adventures.
Yes.
I brought my boys to the comic book shop, and that's what we picked up for them because it's a little bit younger. It kind of skews more to, Batman the Animated Series in tone and art style and everything else. So Matthew K. Manning wrote that one, and that was really enjoyable. And I was going to ask Lauer, like, just watching the trailer for the movie, I couldn't tell if it was trying to be a bit more like Batman Turtles Adventures or the Tynion stuff. So did you get a feel one way for the other on that?
So I thought, like the trailer itself in the beginning, it seems like that first like 10 seconds is almost exactly how the original, like not original, but like the first comic opens, the Tynion series.
Mm-hmm. So they're really trying to like emulate the comic book.
Yeah, but then as far
series.
as like the look and the fun, I felt like it was very much in line with like the Batman Unlimited series.
I was gonna say that too.
But then the Penguin shows up and he sounded just like the Penguin from the Batman cartoon and
It's the
really
same voice
looked like
actor.
him too. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tom
Well, then
Kenny,
that
yeah.
solves that. Go me. So it's kind of like a blend, I thought. I didn't think...
Mhm.
Whereas the Tynion series is a little bit more serious, it definitely didn't really get that vibe at all from it. But it wasn't making like a mockery or kind of like a eye-rolling vibe either. It really looked like it was fun and about as serious as something like this could be. for what it's going for,
Yeah.
but like it's just not taking itself too seriously.
Yeah, to me it looks like it's trying to like, because the comic book series it is more, art is more what am I trying to say here? Like a house style, like a typical comic book type
Right.
artwork, But for this animated feature, it looks to me like they're trying to, for the most part, make the characters look like their comic book counterparts in a modern setting, except for Batman, who is in the gray and blue, and
he's old school
to me. Yeah, he's skewing to it. Look, and so him combined with the Turtles, I think is kind of skewing more towards that 80s nostalgia kind of vibe, and it makes me think of like a 80s, like Jim Aparo kind of Batman comic book, where he's got like just the green and the blue, and he's just kind of a lean, more muscly Batman, and I think that looks very intentional to me. It's trying to kind of make an art, and I think that part of the reason is because they're trying to get an art style that meshes well together in animation, that works well for both the Turtles and Batman characters, because although I think in the story they're from different universes or something, you still don't want them to look like Adventure Time meets Batman the Animated Series or whatever.
Right.
You want everything to kind of
Thank
still
God.
feel believable within the same story.
It's
So
funny
I think that's probably part of it.
It's funny you say you're getting a sort of 80s nostalgia thing, because I got real solid mid-90s, 1995 to be exact, nostalgia. 'Cause
There
I'm
you go.
fairly certain this is the Batman Forever font that they're
I
using
was
throughout the
just
trailer.
going to
is.
say that.
It
I was
is, for
just
sure.
going to say the same thing. That was exactly what I was going to say. It looks exactly like the Batman Forever font.
And I was trying to think, I'm like, why are they using the Forever font? I was trying to remember what was going on with Turtles in the mid-90s, and I think maybe we're on just a year, or maybe Turtles 3 was released in 95.
93.
93. There he goes. I say maybe 2 years past. They were really cranking those suckers out then, because that would have been like 90, 91, 93 for the original live action movies.
No, was like, no, it's 93. Shut up.
Eric,
Yeah.
I mean, Garrett, just get your facts straight, okay?
I'm sorry. I have been thoroughly shamed from both a movie trivia dork and Ninja Turtle fan standpoint.
I'm not ashamed that I knew it so fast, but
No, I'm proud.
I
Good
have
for you.
you know what? I watched them.
You're a
Oh,
turtle.
heck
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love those movies.
Mhm.
Those movies were great.
Well, the third
The
one was
cool
really
part-
bad, but
Well, yeah.
I still
but,
watch
I
it.
mean, right. The best part for me was Batman fighting Shredder. I mean, that's...
Oh man,
They just showed you a
I know,
little clip
right?
of it, but now I want to see. Like, now I'm like, all right, this is something I want to watch. So I want to see.
that's
him fight.
that's the kind of thing where it brings out the kid in you, because
Totally.
you see that kind of stuff, and it makes you think of like, man, I get like a Shredder action figure and a Batman action figure.
I was gonna say, I've played this.
Man, wouldn't that be great?
I've played
wouldn't
this.
That be great
I
if
had
there was a story.
the Playmate and the whoever had the DC license at the time. Like my Batman figures, fought with my Ninja Turtle figures back in the day. So this is awesome.
And everybody I've heard talk to me that has read the comic book series has said that it plays out like that. It's like a big, really well written version of like anything you could think of Batman and Ninja Turtles mashup coming to life. So it sounds really fun.
It
Just
was,
fun.
you said it brings out the kid in you, and it does, because you see Joker in the trailer, and they have like the mutagen vial, in the shot right before. I'm like, what are they going to mutate Joker into? Please tell me it's a hyena. I need a Joker hyena hybrid, and this is going to be so rad.
Did we see Splinter at all in the trailer?
I don't think there was.
Right?
I didn't
No,
see
no
Splinter.
I don't think so.
Garrett, did you finish the first comic series?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, so you don't know what the Joker actually turns into?
No. Oh boy.
I won't
Now,
tell you
okay,
here.
so
Save it.
I am traveling for spring break next week. That will be downloaded on my iPad, and that will be my in-flight entertainment.
There you go. You're going to breeze right through it. Your kids are probably going to try and talk to you. You're going to be like, shut up.
Boys, be quiet.
Yeah,
Dad's reading
Daddy time.
Ninja Turtle comic books.
Batman's fighting Ninja Turtles.
I can't possibly help you with your seatbelt. This is very important.
I kind of feel like so you said that you first got the Batman Adventures one, and I kind of feel like that one's forgotten. And I love all of like every issue of all three of the series so far, and I'll end up loving the new ones when they come out starting in May. But I think I like the Batman Adventures one the most.
Oh man, I really enjoyed it
because it really taps into the animated series, but then it uses like the turtles from the last cartoon series that they were in,
right?
Which were really cool. And so I think for me, I don't know, it was such a good blend and a good vibe, and also I'm such a sucker for animated series.
And I was hoping when this was announced, this would go animated series style. Mm-hmm. So I was a little bit surprised when it didn't, but because I haven't read those other, a little bit more, I don't know if mature is the right word, but the non-adventures comics yet, I'm like, okay, maybe it's a bit more akin to that, and that's why they didn't go in the animated series direction, or maybe they just wanted to make it clear that it's not in the same continuity. I don't know, but it looks good.
Yep. I will be buying. I might do a Garret double dip on digital and then disc because I can't wait. Like, oh my gosh. When they first announced that first comic, I remember I don't know, I can't say it, but
I'm guessing it was similar. I'm guessing it was similar to how I felt when they announced Injustice versus Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, there you go.
Because that was the same. Like, if anyone out there hasn't read it, you can check out my reviews for it on the site. But that series was fantastic, and that was the same thing. That was, I had the Kenner Superpowers toy, when I was a kid in the late 80s or whoever was putting that out, and then I still had my Masters of the Universe toys, and I did the same thing. Like, let's mix these two universes together, and that's what I felt the entire time reading that book. So it's pretty awesome. I think we've talked about the malleability of Batman and how well he works in these different settings, and you can tell all these different stories based on the type of character that he is, and this crossover stuff is really fun.
It's just a combination that I don't know anybody who wouldn't be like, yeah, duh, let's get it. Come on.
Awesome.
Right, like for me, it would be Star Wars, and I know we've seen those fan videos made with Batman fighting Darth Vader, and
that was pretty rad.
Like, I would love to see something like that in an animated form. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I'd love to see that.
I mean, it could always. They did do the Star Trek and Green Lantern crossover a couple years ago, and that looked really interesting to me in the comics.
Right. No, I mean, the crossovers always are fun, and again, it like pulls. Especially if it pulls two things that you love, it's always more fun for that. So.
Exactly. And speaking of the old animation, Eric, you'll be interested in this probably. I'm trying to finally complete my collection. This is a side note too. I'm trying to complete my collection of Super Friends DVDs so I can get all of the all the series. And oh my gosh, there is a rabbit hole, dude. Of if you want to get all the Super Friends, like. They are in the most nonsensical releases ever.
Really?
Because, oh my gosh, dude, yeah. Like,
well, it was on the air for 25 years.
It was, it was in a continuous, circuit, on the air for, at least, 13, 14, 15 years. And they changed the name of the show, every season.
Yep.
And they did weird stuff with reruns and stuff. So
yeah, they split up different sections in the reruns, and they released it on disc with different names.
And when they released it on discs, the discs were released out of season order and with weird names. I only have there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 or 12 DVD sets, spawning 8 seasons or something like that.
Do they have overlap? Do any of them have?
No, they were actually smart enough, I think, to when they released a new version, it's it's not overlapping or whatever, but the very first Super Friends that got released on DVD came out around the same time that the Batman the Animated Series did, and that's why I paid attention to it because DVD was big then. And it had the same branding and stuff, but it was Super Friends and it was it was labeled as Super Friends the first season, but really it's the first half of season 3. And
sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So you had Super Friends the first season, and the second half of that was called Super Friends Volume 2, which instead of season 2 or the first release wasn't called Volume 1, it was super weird. And that's just the first 2 releases. And there's a bunch of other releases that just have wacky names that don't make much sense or are really confusing. I had to find some YouTube videos that explained where things go in the timeline. There's a big convoluted timeline.
It really is. It's funny you mentioned that because I read when we got the DC Universe app, there's quite a bit of Super Friends. I don't know if it's everything.
Yes.
But
I don't know if it's everything, but there's a lot. There's like
a lot
at least
on
the first
there.
couple of seasons.
And again, like I'm always looking for DC or superhero content that I can show the kids. And like, this is perfect, right? And so I'm like, hang on, wait a minute, what is going on here? So I went and read the Wikipedia
article. Did you read
the
history as well? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and like I think it changed. It might have changed stations, like once or twice, and there was still like it was either ABC or NBC at one point had rights to Batman and Robin, but they could also appear on Super Friends, but villains couldn't. So there was a weird villain lineup for a couple of seasons.
Well, see, that's part of the reason why I went down the rabbit hole too, is because I was trying to get both of the Batman cartoons
the
from
New
the
Adventures
late
of
60s
Batman.
and early.
Yeah.
Well, see, there's the Adventures of Batman, and then there's the New Adventures of Batman.
Yep.
And the one that was, and what was confusing to me was that the New Adventures of Batman is the one that has Adam West in it, right?
Yeah, and the really weird Catwoman design.
Yes, whereas the original one, The Adventures of Batman, is the one that came out in the late 60s, has like Owen Sewell and Casey Kasem as Batman and Robin. So, but I had to look up the whole history of both of those shows to be like, wait, which one came first, and which one do I not have, and how does this tie into Super Friends? And because Joker was on the New Adventures of Batman, he couldn't be used in Super Friends. And then he eventually does show up in Super Friends. For Joker and Penguin do for like one episode each, like way later, like in the early 80s or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's when it was like the Superpowers show. It was like
somewhere in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am waiting for, because I looked up and I tried to find it, but in like 1988, I barely remember it, and it was during when I had basketball in kindergarten. On Saturday mornings, there was a Superman series that was like essentially set in like the John Byrne post-crisis
I've heard
Superman.
of this.
And
Yeah.
I only saw a couple episodes, and I'm waiting for that to get released on the app because it's very hard to find on DVD. It's certainly not on Blu-ray.
Is it in DVD? I think it's on DVD somewhere.
I think you can find it on DVD, but it's like you can't get it off regular Amazon. It's like on the marketplace from some other seller, and the reviews aren't good. And it sounds like there's probably some burned copies and crappy cases, and I'm not interested in that. But I'm really interested in watching those again at some point because, like I said, I only caught like 2 or 3, and we tried to set our VCR timer to record it, and that never worked right, you know. So, but I have a fond memory of a couple of those episodes, so it's sweet to watch some of that older animation and get caught up on those things.
Yeah, like I was never, and probably never will be, a big fan of Super Friends, but once I dived into the whole historical purpose of it and stuff like that, it's pretty interesting to me to look at it from that angle. So
I always think it's interesting
side project.
Like to go back and watch kids' cartoons featuring superheroes from the 70s and early 80s where the TV, like, it was so highly regulated about content.
Exactly. So that's why the first 2 seasons of Super Friends, they don't punch anybody.
Yeah, at all. Like, at all. They are fighting. Yeah. So the boys were cracking up, and my wife's like, should they really be watching, like, superheroes fight each other? I'm like, no, sweetheart, watch this.
They don't.
The villain they're fighting is putting chocolate into the water supply in an effort to give kids candy and make them unphysically fit. And the Super Friends are trying to, like, protect their dental health and make sure that they stay physically active. Like, this is what we're going after in the mid to late 70s. It was great.
We could use that now, though.
Yeah, probably, right? Yeah. Deregulating 30 years later, there's an epidemic among kids, the play 60 stuff would be right up the alley of the Super Friends from the 70s.
No, I mean, for me, those shows are just so nostalgic. And Ryan, the fact that you're actually trying to get all of them is super impressive. I'm actually very impressed that you're doing it.
Well, it just pissed me off because I've been clearing out the DVD shelf of stuff I don't have and don't want, and then I'm sitting there looking at my complete series of everything else. Like, I've got all the Superman, I've got all the Batman Beyond, I've got all the Justice League, I've got, of course, all the animated series stuff, and then I'm sitting there and I'm looking at like 4 Super Friends, DVD sets, and I'm like, is that all of them? I think there's at least one I don't have, and then I start looking. I'm like, I should complete this so I can actually feel like I've completed it, and then I start
like you've done
looking
something
up
with your life.
Exactly.
really accomplish something,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Guys,
That's
I have a copy of every
the
release.
Batman stuff.
I've got a copy of every release of Willow. You know how proud I am of that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got all the DC animated, movies and stuff like that. So I'm like, I can't let the Super Friends be incomplete here. I mean, I can't let everybody down. So then I had to go down the rabbit hole. So
they're super cheesy, obviously, but they're just, it's just great. Like I said, it takes me back to a time when life was simple.
That's what nostalgia does, in general, for sure.
Just some old men sitting in a rocking chair out on a porch, talking about the good old days when animation was choppy and nobody punched
chocolate
anyone.
Was water.
Yeah, right?
And Wonder Dog.
Batman was fighting Sweet Tooth,
Well, Gotham
that was the villain's name, right?
One, so.
Oh my
Gotham
gosh.
kind of did that in season 1.
Oh.
So yeah, Gotham kind of tried to do that the first season with all their weird takes on things.
Well, they still have weird takes.
Oh yeah,
that won't die.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But so let's get into a couple little things here towards the end of the show. I think since our last episode where everybody was on, there's been quite a lot of Suicide Squad news come out. The first of which it was kind of an interesting little 1-2 punch of news. Is in late February, we got the news that Will Smith was exiting Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad sequel. It was February 27th.
Yes.
Which was interesting because he had not been explicitly confirmed to be in that movie.
Correct.
So it was interesting because at the time, when that news story broke, and of course they said when this news broke, it said that Will Smith wasn't expected to return because it was scheduling. He had scheduling conflicts, and he left on amicable terms. That's the normal kind of thing that they'll put in articles like that. But when that happened, I on Twitter I was saying things like, okay, so there's 3 things that are at play here. Either Deadshot was always in the movie and they're going to recast it, or Deadshot was never in the movie.
Right. This is a cover story,
and they're just kind of they're kind of covering, letting that cat out of the bag early, or he was in the movie and now they're just going to have to write around him or write him out of the movie because they don't want to mess up not having Will Smith come back at some point for to be Deadshot. And so I never thought that the first thing I said about it being recast would be the most likely thing, because it just seemed like, why would you do that if you've got Will Smith? But sure enough, 1 week later, it really surprised me. He did get recast, and we've learned on March 6th that Idris Elba is going to replace him as Deadshot, which was a huge bombshell to me. What did you guys think about that?
And a huge get for this movie, right? So, Idris Elba has been on the top of every fan cast list for every
everything.
Character, regardless of what the
Gender,
character looks like,
race.
what gender the character
Doesn't matter.
It's always been Idris Elba for anything you can name.
He's the new John Hamm,
right? Exactly. He is the new John Hamm, and and people have been really excited to see him take one of these parts. So I was thrilled. I thought, oh my gosh, this is a high caliber actor that everybody likes. He's got, a lot of star cred, and it's going to lend, some weight to the movie that, apparently was evacuated by Will Smith. But in the online circles that I traverse with the Will Smith news, it was, sort of, had people giving their takes, and it was like, okay, this should further confirm that Suicide Squad 2 is not Suicide Squad 2, it's Suicide Squad the reboot. Because
Suicide Squad new.
Yeah, Suicide there you go. Exactly. Because they're really moving away from the characters that were in the first one, and this is going to be a brand new take. Don't expect it, and don't expect any of these things to carry over. And then but right, but we expect some characters to return, and then Deadshot's so important to this story that, like you were saying, Haas, they didn't write him out, they didn't move around it. It was essential that they recast it, which it it tells me, or at least it lends me to believe, this is more of a stylistic relaunch, but still a sequel. And I don't know that a lot of people were expecting that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, is like, you know, Will Smith does have a lot on his plate. He's a super busy actor. It's not like Warner Brothers would typically be like on a time crunch to get a Suicide Squad sequel out, especially because they have Birds of Prey coming up, and that takes care of your Harley Quinn stuff. So it's interesting that they're not waiting per se for Will Smith.
Yeah.
And that to me means that they are super happy with James Gunn.
Absolutely.
And his script and what he's going to do with the movie, because like everything we're reading says stuff that the studio's moving fast to find you know, in the Idris Elba article it said that they were moving fast to find another A-list actor to replace Will Smith before production starts in September. So they're trying to get this movie underway ASAP.
Idris has been, like you said before, rumored to be like every character that you could possibly think of, from Green Lantern. People have wanted him in that role. I mean, he's been mentioned all over. So when this news dropped for me, I wasn't particularly surprised. When I heard the Will Smith stuff, I kind of was like, all right, makes sense. He's doing Bad Boys 3, and, you know, where's the time? If they want to do this, start production in September, Bad Boys 3, I think they're going to start filming late this year, early next year, I heard. So, yeah. You know, if you put the timelines together, he can't do both roles. I mean, maybe he could if he wanted to, but, you know, I had a hard time believing that he would just step away from a project, because he was one of the things that people liked about the film. And it did make money. So,
oh yeah, it made a ton of money. People forget that. You know, you see some people online that want to say Suicide Squad was a flop, and it's like, no, man. You can say you were disappointed with the movie, but it was a financial smash.
Well, critically, it was a flop. I mean, the critics hated it.
Yeah, it was not well reviewed.
But people, the audience, loved it. It's kind of like the Fantastic Four film, right? Like, the first one didn't do well critically, but people wanted to see it, so they made a second one.
Yeah, not Josh Trank, right? We're talking.
No, the original ones with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans and those ones. So, like, as long as the film makes money, usually you're gonna go with it. You know, you'll go with the sequel because you have that fallback to like, well, the critics might have hated it, but the people loved it, so we're gonna do it. So when this news dropped about Will Smith, and then a week later Idris Elba, obviously they had him in mind before Will Smith said no, or Will Smith couldn't do it, right?
Yeah, conversations had to be going on at some point, or at least thinking about like who would be on our backup list, you know.
Right. So
they moved fast though too, because I remember reading some of the articles that said like Elba had one meeting with James Gunn, and they hit it off so
really
well that they just went so they signed him super fast to just do it.
Right, and maybe there was a contract snafu with Smith, and you know that could have played in here as well. I'm just glad they got someone like Idris Elba to take over the part, because I liked Deadshot in Suicide Squad. So they got somebody who has cachet and could do the role, and who's an excellent actor. So I'm definitely happy that he's doing this, and you know that they're keeping the character in. Now we just need to get Viola Davis back, and he's out of the
MCU anyway, so
yeah, right.
Yeah, R.I.P. Heimdall.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't like Suicide Squad, the movie, but Will Smith was actually my favorite part about it. I thought he was pretty solid. But yeah, like when it was saying that he'd left from the second one, it was kind of. I think I'd retorted to the fact of just like he just didn't want to do it, and it was like a saving face sort of call. And they just don't need Deadshot. So I wasn't even thinking that they were going to replace him.
Exactly.
And so then just out of nowhere, when I'd come across the fact of Idris Elba coming or in talks, I was just like, damn, because I just feel like someone of his stature is just kind of like
huge
for him to agree to the Suicide Squad is just kind of like, oh, this shit's serious.
Yeah,
Like,
it adds an air of credibility for sure.
Yeah, so I mean that's just kind of exciting on its own to where I'm just like, I don't know what the direction is, but I mean they did what they needed to, and they got somebody that had me like pay attention to where I'm like, I probably would have seen it no matter what anyway, but it's like Idris Elba's in it, so I'm like, I'll see it because I just want to see what they have that they sold him on.
Yeah, well, part of it, I mean, obviously means that he's a big part of the story. He's got to be for them to like to get him on board. There have been some other outlets like Collider has an article out of a list of characters who they have heard are going to be part of the new team. And they've said that it's all
it's not exactly a who's who of Rogues Gallery on that list.
It's not confirmed, but it's what they've heard from sources, quote sources. And there's definitely a motley crew of eclectic characters, just like you would expect,
just
from
like you'd
Guardians
want
of the Galaxy director, right? So
yeah, this isn't Legion
cool
of Doom,
stuff, though.
This is Suicide Squad.
They have most of them have ties to Batman, albeit light ones. They're kind of goofy ones, right? Like Ratcatcher. This is not a character I ever expected to see. That's one of the ones that's rumored. And
King Shark,
right?
right?
The rumor is, Ratcatcher, King Shark, Polka Dot Man, and Peacemaker. Ratcatcher, of which is male in the comics. Apparently, the rumor is that it's going to be gender swapped and be a female Ratcatcher, and that there's going to be some sort of a surrogate father and surrogate daughter relationship between Ratcatcher and Deadshot.
Well, good. It's about time. It's 2019. Women can catch rats.
It's true.
This is what we need.
Really?
I mean, no. My wife wouldn't catch one, but we.
No, like when I saw the list of the people they were looking, the characters they were looking to put in, I was kind of like, oh, interesting. Like, you just sit there like, But it's good that they're really digging deep. So I think that's, I think that's a smart thing, because there's nothing to compare them to on film. So, you have a clean slate to do with whatever you want with them, which is great.
And hopefully they can have one or two other characters that are just complete, like, cannon fodder. Like maybe Polka Dot Man goes out super early because it is the Suicide Squad, right?
Somebody's got to go.
Somebody's going to have to eat it.
I really wanted Boomerang to come back. I mean, I hope that is not an all-inclusive list, because that is the only role, and I think I really mean this, the only role I've ever enjoyed Jai Courtney in.
Yeah. He's really good in it.
He's super good. Yes, he's really good in it, and he is not an actor I've ever enjoyed in anything.
He is. Though, yeah, I would like to see him come back. There's been, like, it's been, they say Harley is in it, and then she's not in it, and is in it. Do we know where we are?
We don't know. I mean,
right?
The last thing I've heard is that she's expected to return, and I think that whether we hear that she definitely is or definitely isn't in it, I think will finally be the confirmation we need that this truly is still in the same universe and not. It's going to be the difference between a reboot and a relaunch.
Right.
Once we know the status of Harley Quinn.
I would be shocked. I'd be shocked at this point if she's not.
And Viola Davis, right? And Amanda Waller.
Exactly. And her, yes.
Because we also heard that Joel Kinnaman isn't returning as Rick Flag.
Right.
We heard that as well.
But did we hear that Rick Flag was returning? Because it was reported in different places in different ways.
Right.
In some places you saw Rick Flag was not expected to return as a character, and then I also saw Joel Kinnaman is not expected to return as Rick Flag, which is, there's a difference there. I just think that,
and at first you heard the same thing about Deadshot, because some of the early articles about Idris Elba said that he replaces Will Smith in the Suicide Squad sequel, but they were not explicit at first about him actually replacing him as Deadshot. And at first I was like, is there something to this? Like, is he replacing him in star power, but he's going to play a different character? Because they're not actually saying as Deadshot, and then eventually they did. So I was like, okay,
it's just my suspicion, but like, with the rumored, Margot Robbie return and expected to return in some of the press release or some of the not press releases and some of the articles from the more dependable sites and outfits. That in addition to getting Idris Elba, like, I don't know, Idris Elba's he's a pretty bankable star. He's a credible actor. It made me feel like she's probably in it when Elba signed on, because it's like, she's a big movie star. Would he want to be in it but then again, maybe, it's a chance for him to take this and make it his own vehicle. But like, I don't know. I thought a good chance for Idris Elba wanting to work with Margot Robbie, who is, respected and star power and gets people in the seats. If they transition it from Margot and Will to Margot and Idris, that made more sense to me, but who knows? Pure speculation.
I'm actually looking forward to it. I want to see James Gunn take
I think that's my takeaway too. Yeah, everything I hear about this just sounds interesting to me. Like I'm curious to see how it's going, and I applaud the WB for putting their weight behind it and kind of being like letting the movie kind of happen. Like it's good to see some confidence. Again,
they're riding a good wave right now. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm one of the few that actually liked the first one. I didn't love it, but I liked it enough that I own it. So
yeah, I mean, it's near the bottom of my DC films ranking, but I don't hate the movie. I mean, it's like it's got a poor story and. In construction, it's not great, but the casting's great. The characters are great.
The third act is terrible.
Exactly. Yeah. It's got a lot of good fun moments in it, but yeah.
I'm not mad at the movie. I'm just really disappointed, and I haven't gotten over
exactly. It could have been so much better, so much.
That's
more.
Fair. That is definitely fair.
Yeah, I thought it was watchable. That was enjoyable. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be.
It wasn't as good as the trailer led us believe it could be.
Oh, man.
The first one,
first trailer. Yeah, absolutely. That was, I mean, they were advertising it
looked like a whole different movie.
And it was, right? Everything we know.
It was, yeah.
About the post.
The rumor, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. But I'm glad they're, like you said, sticking with it. We're going to get another one. As long as Viola Davis comes back, I don't care what they have to give her, get her back, because she was one of the best parts of the film.
Yeah.
Gotta get her back.
Yeah, she was great.
Then we can go forward with it. She's great in everything, but she was really good as Waller, so.
Yeah. But that's a ways off. But what's not a ways off is the DCTV shows that just won't stop coming out. Got DCTV coming out of our ears right now. There's so much to watch. But I think the two biggest ones on most of our radars would be Gotham and Doom Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
So Gotham I of course am keeping up with out of, I don't know, a sense of blind devotion to the character of Dark Knight. So I'm caught up with Gotham. I don't like it, of course.
We all know
I will say though that I'm still firm on my stance that season 5 is already the best season of Gotham. And that episode they did with the ventriloquist is probably, I gave him credit on Twitter. I was like, that ventriloquist episode where they actually went there, that's probably in like the top 5, maybe even in the top 3 best episodes of that show, I thought.
I did like it. It wasn't. So far this season, there's been only a couple of episodes that I was like, God, that was terrible. One of them was the one that just happened this past week.
Yeah, this last one was not good.
I really did.
I was hoping, spoilers. Ivy comes back and does Ivy stuff. The way that they reintroduced Ivy earlier this season, I was really hoping that was like her one and only appearance in the season, because it seemed like they were trying to get her out of the way, And I was like, okay, good. We got rid of Ivy, and she's horrible in this show, and we won't have to see her again. But then they just kind of, this most recent episode played very much like a it felt like a filler episode, actually.
It did.
Like, not a lot happens, and it kind
did.
of is open and shut. There's not a lot of sets that get used. Interestingly, I did hear that it was the last episode that was filmed.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And in the episode, Jim Gordon and Leslie Tompkins get married. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the actors in real life
yes, are married.
Are married and have a kid. So it seemed to be like... And some of the dialogue... Oh, and the episode was written by Ben McKenzie.
Yes.
So there's even a line at the end of the episode that was like, well, even though things were crazy in Gotham, like, at least something good still came out of it. So to me, it was saying, like, boy, this show sure is wacky as crap, but at least I met,
my wife.
I met my wife on the show. So I thought that was kind of a meta kind of occurrence. So
yeah, it was. I mean, he did write it, and then Erin Richards, who plays Barbara Keene, she directed it. Yeah. So she's on the show, she's pregnant with his baby, and there's this whole big, we think, there's this whole big like thing with them. So it was kind of weird how that was all tied together for this episode. But for Gotham this year, I could kind of agree with you. I guess I still think I like season 2 better, maybe, but this season's been good, but I think it's been good because they haven't had time to really waste any. They're moving at a really fast pace. Yeah,
I would say that this most recent episode was probably the most fillery feeling episode of the whole season so far. And what was that? See, episode 9. So that means we have 3 left. Two regular episodes, and then the finale, which is I think all going to take place in the future.
Mm-hmm. It's supposed to 10 years in the future.
Yeah, like a full Batman adventure, I think, is what they've been saying.
So Lauer and
I'm so scared.
Lauer and Garret, you need to watch the last episode.
Well, I'm very curious.
4 years off. Why not?
I'm very curious to see like what people's reactions to Gotham would be like with people like me and Eric that have watched all the episodes versus people that only see the last episode. Like right. what exactly. Like if they're gonna have questions. Or if it's going to be so wacky that even the people that have kept up with it also have questions. So we'll see how it turns out.
The biggest problem with the show to me has always been, I mean, I'm always fine with shows taking liberties, but some of the ones they've taken have just been really out there.
Yeah.
So
and the show knows it too, which is so funny. Like sometimes they've had to even say things in the show like, "Didn't you kill my mother?" Oh yeah, I did do that. Like, but
they've
like
had to go to
such, you killed this person. Like they had to go through this whole like, oh man, you start to. It's like a crazy soap opera when you start to think of character motivations and like, but why would this character do anything with this character? Because this other character killed this person like 3 seasons ago, and they would just hate them. And when you start to think about it too much, it really makes your brain hurt. So.
The suspense level is always really low because you know that whatever they lead with, you're gonna get the answer by the end.
Yes,
you know the answer's coming by the end of the episode. It doesn't last weeks usually. It's like, okay, this happened, and then at 8:50, because I watch it in New York, so at 8:50 you're like, okay, they just totally solved this one, and on to next week. So
I am. I will say they have built up enough character arcs here, or story arcs in the season. I'm interested to see how it all ends, and mostly I'm interested in seeing, do they wrap it all up in the penultimate episode and then let the finale be its own thing, or is the finale still going to be connected somehow to the way they leave everything in the episode that comes before it? You know what I mean?
Right. Because
it seems like they're totally building up to Bane and Talia. Which we've seen.
You guys are really winning me over here,
We've seen on a film that I don't particularly love, but I like.
But you must admit, is already done. It's way better.
Oh, come on, that's not even a question. Yeah. What are you kidding me?
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
That's not even a question. No. This I don't know. This version of Bane is weird and.
Oh, it's real weird.
And like they're trying to do No Man's Land, and some of the little references this season that they've put in have been very cool. Like they had the Ghost one episode, as a character, which she's not a huge character, but she is in Batman's Rogue, and she was in an episode, and they had her there. So like they have,
and like I said, the ventriloquist thing, like
yes,
they legitimately. And of course, they didn't make him just like the ventriloquist from the comics.
Of course not.
He's not Arnold Wesker, but they did some weird, like, they didn't quite do the level what they did with Solomon Grundy, where they were like, he was Solomon Grundy the whole time, and we just didn't tell you, like that was believable at all. But they didn't go quite that route with ventriloquist, but what they did manage to do was pretty interesting. Like a lot of things with the show, it just made me think in the back of my head, like, if they would have just really thought about it and actually planned it out from the start, they could have gotten to a way better, like, end conclusion, to some of those character arcs. But for it being the first, like, live-action ventriloquist, I thought it was fairly well done.
Yeah, they're usually tying it into some other character in the story. Every character they introduce is usually tied into another character in the story. So they did the same thing with ventriloquist, right? That's what they did.
Yeah.
So you had that dynamic, but it was very good, and yeah, Peter Vera, you guys know.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, Pete and I do the live from the Green Room show after every Gotham episode. So this past week, as I said before, I was going through some personal stuff and I couldn't do it. So as soon as he finished watching it, he messages me and he goes, "That episode was garbage."
You said it just like he would say it.
Right. So I was like, okay. So I did finally watch this past week, the one we were talking about with Jim and Leslie Tompkins getting married and Jim Gordon.
And you can confirm it was garbage.
Yeah. And... Pete is the reason why I'm watching this season, so I kind of want to stab him for that, but but no, so far from the beginning of the season till now, it actually hasn't been as much of a train wreck as I thought it was going to be. So
yeah, it finally has gotten to the point where the show knows what it is. It knows it's goofy, and it's also been able to build up enough of a compelling story arc that makes some sort of sense. Like I like the world building they set up here, where they have done No Man's Land. They do have stakes here, and it seems, and I think the abbreviated nature of it, and it also being the final season, has lended itself to that. Like it's a show that knows where it's going and knows where it's headed. So like some of the earlier seasons just felt like they were just going in way too many tangents, but it's still impressive. Like the ventriloquist episode, there's like an A, B, C, and D story going on all at the same time, and they managed to like all have these little miniature arcs that wrap up. So so that's kind of interesting to me. Like sometimes they in the case of that episode, it actually works really well. So I just hope that the last couple episodes do the best job they can do.
And the last thing I'll say about it is, I mean, I joke and I say I don't like it, and Ryan, you said you don't really care for it, but you've watched it. It has a loyal fan base. I mean, it lasted 5 seasons for a reason. So I don't want to take that away from anyone when I talk. I always, I want to be sensitive to people's feelings about it, because there are people who like love this show and they're really sad that it's ending. So, so like for you guys, I hope you get the finale that you want. I hope you get the ending that you all want and deserve, because you've stuck with it and you truly love the show. And for those people, it's more important than
for those people. Just remember that we had to wait 10 years to see the end of Smallville.
That's a good point. Yeah, Smallville. That was another one that I gave up on Smallville.
No,
I never did.
I never did.
Gave up on them, but you stuck through Gotham.
Never give up on Smallville.
No, Lauer, I did not. I stopped watching Gotham, but Pete said he wanted to do this show. Would I watch it? So I said yes.
And you caught up.
That's really what happened. And I binge watched last season, and then I started.
And didn't Pete binge watch season 2 through present?
Yes,
or something.
Yeah, because I told him not. I told him not to worry about season 1 because it really has no bearing on the rest of it. So I said you don't need to watch.
So did he not? Did he not watch season 1 at all?
I think he did.
Okay.
Yeah, but I told him he didn't have to. Like, if he wanted to, the serial stuff started in season 2. So
yeah,
like it wasn't important to watch it to getting to the point you are now.
Yeah, like, man, a lot of the stuff in season 1 they just drop completely. Like, they never show like Montoya or Crispus Allen again. Like, they never show Harvey Dent again.
They kill Sionis like in episode 7 or 8.
Jeez.
Like, he's just dead.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought that was his dad or something.
No, it was him.
Oh, well, that's stupid
him.
then.
They killed him in the warehouse.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, like, you kill Black Mask, and I'm like, to me, he's one of the characters who probably would have worked well in this universe. Like,
of course he would.
Right?
Yeah.
But, no, they got rid of him early, so... You know, it's the whole Jimmy Olsen and BVS thing, right? It's
oh boy,
yeah.
Here's a can of worms. Let's open it up.
I know. I was close that can, but I mean, Gotham. It did take him 5 seasons to find the tone and find out to know what it was, kind of thing, before it could be good. But it showed that knows what it is from the first episode. It is Doom Patrol, I think, because
yes,
it's only like 3 episodes in or so, but I'm already like really enjoying Doom Patrol, and I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought that I would. Again, boy, that's the same thing I said about Titans, isn't it? So maybe that just is saying something about these DC Universe,
about the expectations
shows.
You're bringing into it too.
Yeah, well, I had expectations for Titans, but I had no expectations for Doom Patrol, other than being exposed to them somewhat through Titans, which I thought was really smart, because even if you're a big DC comic book fan and stuff like that, the Doom Patrol is not exactly
it's out on the edges
property. Yeah, it's not exactly a property that everybody's going to be familiar with, so I thought it was pretty smart that they had a little backdoor pilot for them in Titans. So far 3 episodes in, they've done a lot of good character work. I'm really into all the characters. They all have compelling backstories, and the actors are really good in the roles, and like I said, the tone is just pitch perfect. I mean, it's goofy and weird, and it just kind of works.
Yeah, I really thought so too. I thought the first episode was fantastic. I wasn't prepared for how goofy and strange it really would be, and then you go into episode 2, and there's a whole thing about getting sucked into a donkey's mouth, and I'm like, this is so goofy, rad, like in the goofiest ways, like, but really, really enjoyable. And I agree, it's because the characters work, and I think the cast has a great chemistry with one another, which is sort of difficult. You think about the physical appearance of about half of the members of the Doom Patrol. You don't really see their face. Their ability to emote is not really there. But
it's like a Wizard of Oz kind of thing, where like you've got a Tin Man, you've got a lion, you've got
right. But it comes together, and it's worked out really well. I've enjoyed it. So I am 1 episode back, but I'm excited to continue to see what they do with this, and I think it looks very promising. I was not, however, expecting the amount of gratuitous nudity that was in the first episode. I was like, where did this come from? Brendan Fraser,
who's a fox?
You bad boy. I did not. That was a bit of a shocker. But you know what? They have made it clear with these shows on the DC Universe app. Like, these are mature viewing.
So the boys will not be watching
No, the Grub boys won't watch Doom Patrol. No.
No, I mean, I've been reviewing it for the site, for Batman on Film, so I watched it. I didn't see last week's episode yet, so I want to apologize for that. I don't have a review up yet, but I wasn't as excited for this one as I was for Titans, and I'm finding myself, each week that goes by, I'm liking it more. So
it's making it very easy to stick with it.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, it's not
because I watched the first episode, and I was like, before I watched the first episode, I was like, I don't know, I don't even know if I'm gonna want to bother watching it or whatever. And I watched the first episode, and I was like, this was pretty good. And then I watched the second episode, and I was like, I think I'm kind of starting to like this show. And after the third episode, I'm like, I can't wait for the fourth episode. So I think it's doing its job.
Yeah, it makes me, so, the way they release these shows on the DC app is a lot different than Netflix, where everything's out there all at once and you can binge away. That never really bothered me on Titans, and I like Titans, but I never felt like, oh my gosh, I want to hit next and I want to watch this until it asks me if I'm actually still watching and shames me. But with Doom Patrol, I watched the first episode pretty quickly after it was released, and I was like, oh man, I'm bummed I don't get to go to the next one yet. So that tells me they're doing something good when I feel like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it helps me too, because like I'm probably not in the norm for the binge watching people anymore, but like I'm less likely to watch a show if it's just all there ready to binge. Like I still have so much behind on the Marvel Netflix shows, but the fact that Doom Patrol is like one episode a week and so is Titans, it's a lot easier mentally for me to keep up with it.
It's not as daunting.
And actually watch it. It's not as daunting. Yeah, that's the only way I'm able to keep up with all this other CW DC shows I watch too.
Wow, you are a champ for doing that, because I am nearly
the
out.
The only one I don't watch is Black Lightning, and that's because it had the unfortunate position of debuting like after everything else was out, and when they said it wasn't connected in continuity, I'm like, there's one less show I don't have to watch.
There's my
I
excuse.
don't have to watch to keep up with. Exactly.
Speaking on Doom Patrol, what character do you like so far the best?
Oh man, I mean, Robot Man, I think is obviously it was my my in or whatever, because I like Brendan Fraser and I he just seemed like the most compelling character. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is that all of the other ones have started to come into their own in a really interesting way. I think over the episodes, they all have like interesting backstories and history. Right. And again, like Cyborg, they introduced Cyborg in episode 2, and he's typically obviously not a member of the Doom Patrol and like in the comics and stuff. And so he's been I was curious to why and how they're going to include him in the show, but I really enjoy what they've done with him so far on the small screen, because Cyborg actually adds this really like, although he's half man, half robot or whatever, he's almost like the audience in a way, because he's more of a hero. He's not as exposed to all the weird parts, and so he's gonna like call out weird stuff when he sees it, and it's just fun to see him like play off of all the other characters and their quirks and stuff.
Right. I really felt like in the not this past Friday's episode, but the one before, I think it was called Puppet Patrol. Right. That one where he was kind of the one that was left out because he didn't. Yeah. Crazy Jane didn't grab him and take him with them. And it, like, you could tell it bothered him, and how he had to deal with that, because he was always kind of the one that's kind of like, oh, we're a team, we have to do it together, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't get to go there to Fuktopia with them.
Yeah. Spell it.
Yeah.
I love it. The writing's so good.
Right. But, I mean, it's German,
Fuktopia.
Right, so, But the best part about the show for me is having the villain be the narrator.
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk is Mr. Nobody.
He's great.
Yeah, that's
too.
And that's one of those weird, like, fourth wall breaking things that's like a lot easier to do in comics. You can just do weird stuff on the page, but the fact that they were able to have something like that and it work on a TV show like that is really, really a testament to the show runners and the writers and stuff to figure out how to do that and make it work.
Right. Yeah, I think, for me, I liked Robot Man. I think he's probably the most compelling. And, I like, very similar to Ryan, I have a fondness for Brendan Fraser. Basically, Encino Man will always cement him into my heart. But Crazy Jane, I'm really enjoying. I liked Diane Guerrero, and I enjoyed her in Orange is the New Black. So I hadn't really seen her in, I don't think, anything else. And she's
going to be the voice of Jessica Cruz in the upcoming Justice League versus the Fatal Five.
That's very cool. I saw her show up. I'm like, oh, Orange is the New Black. I always thought that she was good, her and Flocka on that show. So
I'm with you on that one. She's been my favorite character as well.
Yeah, super enjoyable. I think she does it well. I mean, she's, the acting is strong, and The character's good, so. But you know what?
One episode where she was playing Baby Doll.
Yeah.
Like, it was really good.
Yeah, she's doing good work on it.
Performance. Yeah. So I'm with you on that. She's been my favorite character so far. I have liked Robot Man's arc so far. And I think the only one who I haven't liked so much is Elastic Woman. I thought she was always Elastic Girl, but they call her Elastic Woman for the show.
She's really old.
So,
see, and I think that part of that is like, I think you're supposed to kind of not like her, and I think that this most recent episode has Cyborg kind of pointing that out, and so I think my kind of terse like relationship with that character so far has been like the same way as Cyborg. Like, why are you here? Like, why are you part of the team? You should just stop if you're not like, cause like he was like saying all the things that I was thinking. So I think that to me it was like, oh, I'm supposed to feel that way, and then the show plays off of those expectations. So I think again that's a really clever way to kind of do that in the show.
You think they're gonna backdoor Cyborg into Titans?
I think that could definitely be happening.
Yeah, boy.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah,
he's part
would.
of the Titans, you know?
Right.
It would.
So it makes sense if they did it.
Just with like a better suit. By
Yeah.
the time. Just like,
Well, yeah. They can only CG so much, so
I
have
know.
a windbreaker.
It's not a major motion picture.
Like
so
in
the budget is not.
in the latest episode, like he's wearing his hoodie or whatever, and then when it's like, okay, now there's a time for a fight scene. Now I'll roll my sleeve up to show you my robot
here
arm
it
that I have
is.
underneath it.
Yep. Let them know.
so we can spend the money.
I was like, between this and Smallville Cyborg, I'll take this, but that's not,
Well, yeah, there's a lot of difference between this and a gray hoodie.
Right.
In the other show.
Well, Haas, I don't know if this was on the list, but we also learned this week that Arrow will be ending.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Next year.
I'm of two minds on this. Like, first of all, like I like Arrow. Like, I'm an unapologetic Arrow guy. Like, the CW DC Universe started with that show, and Arrow absolutely has had its fair share of ups and downs. There's been some seasons that have been complete dips in quality, but what's been interesting the last couple of years on Arrow is how, and they've, in my opinion, have really bounced back. Like, as soon as they started to introduce like the new like team members and stuff like that, the show these past like 2 or 3 seasons have been really interesting in terms of how they have evolved the show and done new things with the characters and things like that. And especially this current season where they had Oliver Queen spend the first half of the season in prison.
That was awesome.
I mean, that was really interesting storytelling, and not just a lot of the it's a far cry from the by the numbers formulaic, Team Arrow type of episodes that you would have on a lot of the shows. Kind of fell into that formula there for a while. Like Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow were all just like team superhero shows. Like, we have a base, we have a mission, Freak of the Week type stuff. Like, but Arrow's really broken out of that, especially this season. Like, when the show started, they were of course doing flashbacks like Lost and stuff, and you knew that Oliver Queen had been missing from the island for 5 years, and so for the first 5 seasons you had flashbacks, but then the flashbacks caught up with the show, and so the next season they just didn't have flashbacks unless they like wanted to tell a specific story with a different character, and then this season they started to do flash forwards, which was super intriguing to me. So they're showing you things that have happened, or they're showing you the future of what's happening. And so knowing that now that the show is going to end next year with season 8 in an abbreviated 10 episode run, it is bittersweet for me, because I was curious to see how the show was going to keep going. I mean, because I heard them say like that they were going to do the flash forwards as long as the show is on the air, and now we know it's only going to be on the air 1 more year. So the other side of that coin is that they hopefully are going to get to end the show on their terms and complete the series and make it feel complete. I hope that they will, at least. My only worry, I don't know if it's a worry or concern, or more it's just general curiosity, how they are going to reconcile the end of Arrow with this Crisis on Infinite Earths major mega event that's going to happen. So because I think they had on this year's event which was the Elseworlds event, they kind of hinted at some things, especially for Oliver Queen in terms of maybe he'll die, maybe he'll do this. So it seems like there is definitely going to be some interplay between that, between the Crisis event next year and the end of Arrow, and I hope that they can make the event and the series ending and everything that comes after it really satisfying, because if it is, it's going to be almost like with Arrow ending, it's kind of starting to make this Crisis thing like the Infinity War of the DCCW, really.
Yeah.
Because it's like the first real phase 2 of these shows, especially if Arrow is ending and we get Batwoman and with this big Crisis event happening. So
yeah, I'm with you. Like everything you said, I agree with. It's the show that got me into the whole universe. It's the show that I've maintained watching. I haven't really watched The Flash much the past 2 years, and Legends I've kind of dropped off a little too. But this Arrow has been the one show that I've stuck with, and you're right. This season has been excellent for the most part. A couple of episodes I'm kind of like whatever, and I have an issue with Felicity, the character, period. So we'll put that on the shelf. But you
kind of have to enjoy it. Yeah.
Right, but overall, it's been really well done. I love the flash forward stuff, and all the little tidbits you're getting, and how it's tying into what's going on now. To me, it's the best that stuff has been. Even with the flashback, sometimes I was like, "How does this play into what we're watching?" But but this season, it's been really hand in hand, and I've really enjoyed it. So when I heard that they were canceling the show, I was kind of like, "Wow," I was a little disappointed. And I hope that, like you said, it ends on they end it the way they want to, and that everyone likes the way it goes out. And I just wonder what's going to happen after that. Like you said, this was the first show that launched everything. So what are they going to do? I can't imagine. I hate to say this, but I can't imagine they're going to keep him alive. So I don't know.
They could do anything, right? Like. They could do. I mean, there's a lot they could do with different universes and different whatever.
Right.
It seemed like, we'll just have to see, because obviously with the flash forwards, they're not telling us everything, but they're trying to tell us that he's dead or whatever.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it seems like at a base level that, Batwoman's probably going to take Arrow's place in terms of the more ground level, darker show on the network, but I wouldn't be surprised if, and I think I read the main reason why Arrow was ending is because Stephen Amell wants it to, he kind of wants to spend more time with his family and stuff like that. So so that's interesting to me. But it seems like he's leaving the door open to come back and do more stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Green Arrow character pop up other times.
That's true. That's a good point. I'm just wondering, now when they say it's going to end, your mind immediately goes to, okay, how are they going to end it?
Exactly
how they're going to end it. So, do either of you, Garrett, Lauer, do you guys watch the shows? Any of them?
I am behind.
Yeah, and Lauer hasn't talked to him forever because he hasn't seen Doom Patrol
so
either.
I'm just kind of you guys have at it. I'm still here.
I hope you guys really love your TV shows. Yeah. Why don't you keep talking to each other about them?
I'll go read Batman Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, again. I'm way behind on Arrow, but it's been a show that I've watched and I've enjoyed since the first episode. Sure, Ryan said, some seasons have dipped. Cough, season 4, cough. But
is that the Damien Dark season?
Yes.
Yeah,
which is too bad because I really love that actor, and so I was excited when he was coming.
Yeah, he's good.
But man, that season was rough.
He works a lot better in Legends.
I don't watch Legends, and I'm really behind on The Flash, which we're not talking about The Flash, but I'm kind of glad that they're able to call it on their own merit. So they're gonna write their last 10 episodes and how they want to end the show, rather than nope, not coming back. Well, let's hurry up and wrap it up.
Well, you know what? That's what's funny about that is I've always said boy, after seeing a lot of the Marvel shows on Netflix, I've been like, man, a lot of these CW shows would be so much better if they were just 10 episodes a season or whatever. And Arrow was definitely one of those because you get rid of those filler episodes. Like, I think, like, again, we were talking about Gotham. I think there's something to be said. I think Gotham's quality is better this season, partly because there's only 12 episodes. They're able to, they force them to have a goal, or they're able to do more with the storytelling because it just is going to be tighter by nature of the number of episodes they have to crank out. So with an end game, in no pun intended, in mind for Arrow for its last season, I think there's going to be a lot of, fluidity and movement and escalation to it, hopefully, where it's going to be exciting to see it end. You know?
Yep. Preach on.
Are you gonna binge now and catch up and watch so you can watch the last season?
I hope so. I mean, I'm at the first episode of season 6, so not too bad.
Nope.
But yeah, I'm behind.
Yeah, I was at that point where I was gonna stop watching it, and then I came around and I was like, all right, I'm gonna stick with it again. The Flash did not hold me. To me, it just got way too cheesy, and I couldn't watch it anymore. But
The Flash is the one that, Arrow got super we're trying to end the show or whatever, but Arrow got super formulaic with its Team Arrow stuff, and then got really bad, but then it got really good faster after it. In my opinion, Flash kind of got into this, not formulaic, but not as bad, not as low as Arrow got, but still on the low end of formulaic for too long.
Well, and then it shifted into, you get speed powers, you get speed powers, you get speed powers.
Yeah, everybody got powers, and then you could start to play the drinking game with okay, somebody's gonna get upset, and they're gonna have to leave the Team Flash room, and they're gonna have to talk in the hallway, and I'll go talk to this person because he's upset. And, that kind of stuff happened so incredibly often, where it was just got to be super formulaic. But I think they've been this previous season and this season especially have really improved on that front, in my opinion.
I might have to jump back in on Flash then, because me too. I really enjoyed. I thought the first 2 seasons of Flash were just great, and then it started oh boy, it's losing me. I really don't enjoy this, but I'm gonna watch it. Oh, got to sit down and watch my episode. I'd
say for a lot of reasons, this current season of Flash is probably the best season since season 2.
Okay, all right,
because it's the main arc is that their daughter has come from the future to help save somebody.
Yeah, that never
and
goes
she's a
wrong
speedster
in the Flash
she's
universe.
A speedster, and that's the only reason why she's there, right? So of course there are ulterior motives at play, but it is interesting to see Barry Allen and Iris West interact with their already grown up daughter, who has all these preconceived notions about who Barry and Iris are, especially because in her timeline, Barry has been missing since before she was born. So there's a lot of cool, mother-daughter, parent, stuff going on there.
That's always been the great thing about that show, though, is because they could go anywhere, so it doesn't
exactly.
Really matter.
Yeah.
It's we have 2 DC shows ending, we have 2 DC shows thriving.
There's more coming. We got Swamp Thing coming.
Swamp Thing,
we
yeah,
have the Harley Quinn animated show coming there, and everything we've talked about on this show, with the Shazam and Ninja Turtles and Suicide Squad.
Ninja Turtles!
So much. Yeah, there's so much DC content coming. So it's pick your poison at this point. Something's got to be up your alley.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for the brand, right?
Yeah,
you couldn't say that.
Yeah,
not that
it's enough to bide your time until the next big Batman movie comes out.
Well, yeah, this is Batman on film, so we're that's what we're waiting for. We want the next big Batman movie, but
yeah,
no, but I think it's good. It's good for the brand that we have these other properties in DC doing so well, and that they're pushing. They just you draw an interest that way too. So people maybe who weren't that interested in the world or didn't kind of fallen out of DC and didn't really like it anymore. Well, now you have all this good will happening, and it's good for the brand. So
cool. So one thing I want to do before we end is that, it's kind of a on-air plug tease for what I want to do for the next episode. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to have this historic comic book coming out. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but it's Detective Comics number 1000 is coming out.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That really
Already?
snuck up on me. Gosh.
I have to check they're on number 3.
Yeah. It's Batman's 80th anniversary. It's kind of a big deal. And you know, as a group, we've talked about there's a lot of fun stuff we want to do for Batman's 80th, like and especially because it's Batman 89's 30th anniversary this year. So there's a lot of cool little episodes coming down the pike eventually.
I'm working on something for that. I'm working on something for that, actually. So.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah, well, so am I.
I don't want to say too much.
What, for the podcast or for BOF?
For BOF. For Batman 89's 30th, I'm working on something.
Nice.
Hopefully it comes.
And Pete has a fun article coming too.
Yes, he does.
yeah, he's been teasing it on Twitter. So if you want to see what that is, look at Pete's Twitter, Pete Illustrated's Twitter. But yeah, so like in a couple of weeks we have Detective Comics 1000. What I want to do is to try to get a podcast out where we talk about and review that comic book. And if we do it right, we might be able to get it out the day that comic book comes out.
That'd be nice.
So that's my goal. So hopefully be on the lookout for that. We'll have to figure out scheduling wise how we're going to record that, but that's what I would like to do. I think that'd be fun.
How are we going to get it before it comes out?
I got people.
That's the big.
I got people. Okay, I got
that's
people.
The big
Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions.
We got peoples.
That's the big.
Too many questions. Too many questions.
I'm sorry, my fault.
There's just too many. Too many.
Too many questions.
Are there too many questions?
Well,
or?
So that's all. That's all I want to do. Plug.
I love it.
Plug Detective Comics 1000 show.
Yep.
It'll be 1,000 minutes long.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
1 minute per page, or I don't know. Like
we did it. It'll be 1,000 minutes long, so it'll be a minute for every variant cover.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Done.
I said, like on the Drake podcast we were talking about this, I was like, I'm going to get every variant cover, but then that was before I knew how many. That was before how many variants I knew that there were.
How's your credit score? Because you need a loan.
Oh my gosh,
to do that.
It's so stupid. I couldn't even try. The one variant I wanted was the Alex Ross Detective 27.
Yes.
variant.
Oh my gosh.
And it went on sale, and it sold out in like under a minute. And I couldn't even get it. Like I was on the email list and everything, and it was like, it's available for pre-purchase, and I tried to get it, and it was all sold out. Now they're on eBay for like ridiculous amount of money. So I'm mad. It's dumb.
You sound
but
mad.
I'm very mad, but cause it's like Super Friends. I need to get all of them, and now I can't.
Haas is my idol.
Yeah, man, you are a completist. It's
so
great.
He's a machine.
You are.
Champ.
Well, I am going to get all the basic standard variants of Detective. So like for Action Comics 1000, they did like a 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s kind of thing. So I'm going to try to do that at least for Detective.
And
maybe a blank one.
Okay, really quick. Sorry, because I know we need to wrap it up. But do you guys know which one's your favorite out of, like you just mentioned, the 8 or 9 variant?
I really like the Bruce Timm cover because it's like a Bruce Timm homage to one of the early Detective Comics covers that has like the Joker. I think it's like the Joker genie or whatever. So that's the one that I'm most excited about getting.
I forget the name of the artist.
Jim Lee.
I mean, that's always like the go-to, right?
He's drawn some things.
Oh, Steve Rude, the 1930s variant cover. Where that's the one that I'm hunting for. It's kind of got like definitely like 1930s, obviously, and then oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. The
Greg Capullo,
Mad Monk, the Monster Man, Matt Wagner. It kind of makes me think of that style a little bit, but it's like it looks very much like it's one of the like the Mad Monk nod. And I love that. It looks like it's painted. I think that's the one that I'm hunting for. That's my go-to.
Yeah, it's good. So there's going to be a lot of good fun Detective Comic celebrations type stuff going on. So I'm really hoping to tap into that and really enjoy it because my local comics shop had they even had like a unique print for like Detective 1000. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they do some other cool stuff here for Detective 1000 because it's a big deal. So
big deal.
But so look out for that show hopefully within the next couple of weeks. But until then, I guess we'll do some plugs. Lauer, you got some plugs?
Sure, I'll plug some things. In a couple weeks, I'm going to be part of this Detective Comics 1000 podcast show. So look out for that. No, I'm in the middle right now writing something up for BOF for Batman's 80th. I'm going to do like a top 10 live action Batman / Bruce Wayne moments. Because people love lists. I like lists. And then people love to argue about lists.
Yeah.
So that's kind of...
Especially Rick Shue.
Yeah, can't wait.
Oh gosh.
So it's kind of just I've kind of got a list, but I'm really like trying to comb through without watching every single movie over again. But I kind of want to make sure I didn't miss something. But of course, there's some movies that are nope, I didn't miss anything. So that should be wrapping up and coming somewhat soon. And then some other I have some ideas for Batman's 30th, Batman 89's 30th. And some stuff. Oh, going to continue on. I know Garrett, he's going to plug his. I've got an Batman Elseworlds coming down the line as well. Or right up on an Elseworlds story.
Yeah, we're covering a lot of those on BOF in individual articles. Eventually it'd be nice to do a podcast covering all those after they get up there. But you've got yours. I've got one coming at some point whenever Dad time lets me actually sit down and read a comic book and then actually write a review on said comic book. But that'll be fun. So was that you got anything else to plug?
You can go to my Twitter if you want. There you go.
What is it?
Or whatever.
Why don't you tell the people?
Lauer _ Ryan. Lauer spelled like lower. And there's a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff and Batman stuff on there because obviously.
Lots.
Nice.
There you go.
Great.
A trough. Cool. It's a trough of Ninja Turtles and Batman stuff.
Nice. So, what do you got, Garrett?
I just had, as Lauer mentioned, a piece on Superman speeding bullets.
It was really good.
Oh, thanks,
well
man.
done.
I appreciate that. The classic 1993 Elseworlds tale, kind of, what if you kind of got a combo? It was sort of like DC's in-house amalgamation. Remember that from after the DC versus
Amalgam? Yeah. Dark Claw.
Yeah, this was kind of a combo of Batman and Superman told in a pretty interesting way. So that's up to date. You can check that out. Reviewing Justice League on the site as well. I've really been enjoying what they've been doing lately with that title. So 19, the review for 19's up, and then I think next week is 20.
Is that the one that? Oh yeah, 20. Now 20.
It's got a sweet cover.
Those covers, man.
That looks great.
I kind of want the completionist in me is twitching right now.
It's a good title. It at one point I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it. And it transitioned really nicely. So I'm enjoying that a lot. You can check that out. Otherwise, you can go follow me on Twitter. I am at Garret, GARRET WATO. I talk a lot of comics, a lot of He-Man, a lot of fantasy football. You're probably if you go there based on listening to me talk about Batman, right now you might be a little disappointed because it's a lot of fantasy football talk.
I know I am.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys.
NFL free agency.
Yeah,
right now,
it is. Yeah, so the Twitter handle is Garret WATO. WATO stands for What Are the Odds, which is a fantasy football podcast that I have with a couple of buddies of mine. Played ball with in college. So if you do follow me on Twitter and you like the football stuff, you can check out that podcast. We're on Apple Podcast. That'd be cool.
Cool. What do you got, Finale 33?
I got nothing. No. As I mentioned a couple times on the podcast, I'm reviewing Doom Patrol for Batman on Film. So every week, I apologize for this past week. I've just had a lot going on. But I will get that up probably tomorrow. I'm probably going to watch it tomorrow and get the latest review up from last week's episode, and then I will have Friday's episode hopefully following that. And also, every week on Facebook Live, me and fellow BOF contributor Peter Vera host Live from the Green Room after Gotham airs on the East Coast. So that's 8 o'clock on Thursday nights. You can watch that we're usually on for an hour, sometimes it's longer, depending on the tangents we go on, because sometimes they can be a bit much. So, but I would love for everyone, if you're part of the BOF group on Facebook, to check it out, to interact with us. Even if it's for anything other than Gotham, you can still hit us up on there, because Pete is like a super knowledgeable person when it comes to all this, more than me. So if you want to talk to him
about what, about Gotham?
No, just about the world, everything having to do
nice.
with Batman and DC. Pete is like, wow, it's amazing. When I get into discussions with him about things, I'm always like shocked and in awe. So yeah, you can check us out there, and you can check me out. You could tweet at me, actually, as Ryan said, at FinalE33, FINALE33, and you can yell at me there. Nice.
And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at SME_Ryan and the Batman Podcast Network at BatPod Network. Look at all these guys' Twitters and read all their BOF content. BOF is just pumping out so much ridiculous content lately. It's kind of crazy how much good stuff we're getting to consume and how much great content is actually going up on the site. It just makes me really happy that we have BOF, and BOF is something that we're all a part of and that we get to contribute to, and that the listeners can kind of all experience it together, because that's kind of what BOF is all about. So we've got more podcasts coming down. We've got a Detective Comics 1000 podcast coming, and like we mentioned earlier on the show, this Bowling Green State University Batman conference is coming up really soon, like April the 12th and 13th of April. And I'm hopefully going to have some sort of podcast or audio content related to that whenever that comes out. So until then, that wraps up today's episode. For Eric, Garrett, and Ryan, I'm Ryan. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey now! You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? Go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jet on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/jet.batmanonfilm. Email Jet via jet@batman-on-film.com. I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.